Tarantulas, are you there? Do you read me? Ah, yes.
Operation Infiltration is a success.
Good thing I'm not a mint sealed in box kind of guy, because he'd be beat. I know they had a pretty rough landing on Earth, but this is quite the beat up stasis pod. So I know in the show these guys were often getting blown to smithereens, Looney Tunes style. But to come straight out the box like this, that's some pretty immersive fan service.
We can rebuild him. We have the technology.
Zzz, zzz, zzz. How's that feel? Why, of all the... You left a piece out.
No way!
All things considered, lad, you never should have prepared me! Ah!
So firstly, right, I know I'm not on the Deceptor set, but he was just so purple that when I set it up with the purple backdrop, it wasn't doing his colors justice. He looks incredible. I mean, God, just look at him, would you? He is smooth as spider silk.
Tarantulas!
And I actually think this looks better than the show model a little bit, even, right? Potentially? Good God, y'all. Alright, let's just start with his deco and sculpt, shall we? Because it is really, really on point. The green is coming off a little more pistachio than it sort of is in real life, but it still looks really good the way that it's carried through. Just so on point for his show model. I mean, these legs are spindlier in the show, but this is very reasonable. Very, very reasonable. And I really like the competing textures that you've got. There's like the dimple of the shins compared to what ends up being the actual tarantula. Like you got the hairy abdomen and then more of like an armored carapace. Carapace? Is that what you call it? Endoskeleton. Also, I didn't notice it at first, but look at that dope little sort of hidden Predacon logo he's got going on his thigh. Alright, those Beetlejuice-esque candy striped claws are looking fantastic. It's a really like nice golden metallic yellow that they've used for all of these yellow highlights. And can I just say, that head sculpt, hot diggity dog. It is so good. Like, admittedly, there's not quite green all the way on this particular mandible on mine. And some of the green has gone through when you get up in it in the macroverse. But the fact that, you know, this is painted differently to what's underneath, and if you have a look on the side, it's probably just a little bit of the green effect, but because it's not as heavy, it looks like it's actually silver on the underside before it goes to that kind of matte black. And just the competing metallics of the matte, it looks really good. These Beast Wars head sculpts really have been just so on point, and they really go so long to making these feel alive and like they've just jumped off the screen. Oh man, you know what? He is looking so good that I think I'm gonna have to do something I haven't done in a little while. That's right, it's time for a trip into the Hamverse Legacy Edition.
I can help. I'm so hungry. When first you stumbled into my web, I had hoped you might prove to be an ally. Unfortunately, your hunger made you a liability in this strange new land we find ourselves in. Fortunately, in a world this unstable, there's plenty of cannon fodder to work with. I can help. No, I think once I have the required parts, the Goliath shall be all I need to conquer these strange lands. This land we find ourselves in exists outside of time and space. It is my intention to impose my order upon this and seize the opportunity. This will be my legacy.
Oh, it felt good to get that out of my system. Alright, let's now have a look at his arachnid articulation. I know he's not an arachnid yet, but it alliterated. It was arachnid alliteration. So, In terms of articulation, you've got a head which is on a ball joint, but you don't get much up and down out of it. Good twisty. His shoulders are on a universal, so they go all the way around, and, you know, uppity, down. They've also, from transformation, got a bit of a backwards butterfly, but that will be a little bit bojangled by his legs hanging down. We got bicep swivel, we got kind of an elbow swivel. You can get like a flat 90, but, you know, feel a little bit like maybe these ratios are a little off, but not in any sort of real way. You get a little bit of waist rotation, but if you push it too far, you are going to pop out that backer. Same sort of universals at the hips. Fantastic ninjutsu double knees. And then from transformation as well, he's got a lot of forward and back, making his legs some of potentially the most articulated legs ever. He can do all sorts. When we first saw him, I did feel like these arms kind of just sort of sitting there felt a little bit out of place. But honestly, once you've got him in hand in person, they do really recede into the background. You almost forget about them. And whilst it would have been nice if there'd been a second joint here, I feel like you can get pretty much, you know, whatever you need out of them the way they are. He can do his like cool like machine gun thing, and then there's enough of a range on the ball joints that you can kind of just fold them down out the way, and then if they're tucked behind his arm, you don't even think about them. How weird is this? I would have sworn that these would have just been the exact same gun, but they're not. They're slightly different takes on the like crossbow blaster thing. Definitely like from the same manufacturer, but slightly different models. Apparently Tarantulas didn't opt for the karaoke version. My guess is they got rid of the microphone off the end of his and put a 5mm port there so it could be part of Legacy's weapon building system. Oh yeah. They also, as a little sort of Easter eggy, threw in what is pretty well his transmetal gun, which I guess is nice. All it sort of really does is make me hope that somewhere in Legacy there's some room for some transmetal characters. Surely, at the very least, Transmetal Prime, right? If you're doing Dragon Megatron, that's Transmetal too. You done skipped a step. And give us some Fusors.
You're getting off topic, human.
Sorry. Transmetal. All of his joints have great tension, so he can pretty well balance in whatever shape you want to throw him in. With the way his spider legs kind of drape around him, it almost puts me a little bit in mind of Mr. Sinister's cape from the X-Men. So, by way of comparison, let's first take a look at him alongside the only other Tarantulas figure that I have, which is one of the, you know, prized pieces of my Beast Wars collection. And it still stands up because, like, you know, by that point they were actually modeling the toys and the characters a bit more closely together. You know, you didn't super mind the kibble because it was mostly show accurate kibble. Here he is with Black Arachnia. This, you know, is such an iconic pairing as well, I think. They worked really well off each other. Some of the best moments in the show were when they were teaming up and betraying and double crossing and triple crossing and quadruple crossing.
It checks out.
Man, talk about pictures that you can hear. Looking at this grouping, what are you hearing in your head right now? The cheerleader effect is phenomenal, especially when you have Tarantulas out the front. He, if not the strongest, he's definitely one of the strongest of the updated Beast Wars figures. He is just so good. Such a stark contrast to this dum-dum.
I got more screen time.
Alright, let's do this transformation thing, shall we? Or, as they say in the time of the beasts,
Tarantulas, terrorize!
legs out, untab this abdomen, and rock it down like he's on a toboggan. Unfold the tarantula head, and cover the tarantulas head. And get the arms out the way, spin the whole waist, and you can come around and plug that back all together. Then if you come around to the arms and hold the legs out as you fold them around, it makes it just that sort of little bit easier to work out where everyone needs to sit. You want to make sure as you put them into place that you've got it so these pincers are facing down, and then you kind of just wiggle it until these molded leg bits at the top fit in with the body. On the underside, you see these 2 pegs there. You're going to try and get them with the feet. It's easier said than done, but basically if you collapse the leg up right, there's a little tabbity slot tab. Get that to click in. That's how you know you've got the knee in the right place, because it is a flexi knee. Sometimes it helps a little bit if you go like foot first. Try and sort of find that tab if you can. But if you can't, it still sort of locks together all pretty well. To finish off that abdomen. And just fold out the legs to your discretion. I mean, come on. That's pretty good, right? You gotta be happy with that. That's what we saw. Minimal kibble. Like, it is what it is. All the textures line up great. These decals down the back look fantastic. They match out with the candy stripes there. You get hints of the green through with the eyes. They opted not to go for the toony face, which is cool, but they still kept that color scheme, so it's still... I feel like it does a really good job of, you know, legacies where things are a bit realer or more G1. I don't know. Whatever it is, I can live with it not being the cartoon spider face. I do understand why the show was like that, but I don't need that from this mode. By way of a comparison, here he is with Black Arachnia's spider. I think they both did pretty good. It's a difficult mode to pull off. You do get a bit more bang for your buck out of a tarantula's body, but they pair really well together, I think. And here he is with Cheetor. Oh man, we have fun here, don't we? Hey? That's pretty well that on this guy. He's just so good. I really cannot recommend him enough. If you knew anyone who had like seen them and thought, oh yeah, I saw that those were back in the stores, I don't know if I can be bothered with that. Like, this is a great re-entry point into the franchise. Woohoo! He is gold.
You are 24 karat gold.
Thank you so much for coming on down and watching and making it to this point. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed yourself, do those things that you got to do, the things, the clickety-clacks. I would like it. Let's grow. Let's grow this thing, huh? Be sure to let me know. What do you think? Is this one you definitely plan on getting? Have you managed to get him already? He is definitely worth the getting either way. Let me know in the comments. Talk to me. Let's get nerdy with it. Catch ya.
He done it, just like you figured he would.
Naturally. I hate you.